Rugby commentators, folks, they are an important part of any rugby broadcast, both the play-by-play and the kind of expert pundit team. They can make a great game bad if they are talking negatively or trying to bring you down. They can make a boring game engaging. They can tell you stories which will give you insights. They can explain the laws. The commentary team can add a lot of value if they're doing their job right. On my board here, I've listed some of the things that I appreciate about commentary teams. We're going to go through these, and I will finish off with my list of the play-by-play and kind of expert pundits that I like to listen to. And you guys can give me your list as well. I'm going to start with the things that I like the team to know. I like them to know who the players are. You can always feel when either the pundit or the commentator, like the play-by-play commentator, doesn't really know much about the team they're commentating on. And I'm not saying they need to 100% know this every single game. Like, if they're about to commentate Hong Kong, I understand that their knowledge is probably going to be a little bit lacking compared to if they were commentating the Springboks. That's just general knowledge about rugby is going to be different from team to team. But like, as a Kiwi, when Argentina would come to town back in the Rugby Championships early days, and you would hear the commentators talking, well, the Argentinians will be passionate, and then there's nothing else to say, you know they don't know the players. At least nowadays, like the big Argentinian guys have made the radar, at least over here in New Zealand, but generally you would like the people talking about the game to know some of, if not the majority of the players, and be able to give insights about them, whether it's about the clubs they play for or their playing styles, particular physical attributes. Are they quick? Are they particularly good at the ruck? All that kind of stuff. That's good to know. You would like to think that the people talking about the game have a baseline knowledge about the players they are talking about. Likewise, the laws. And I think this one is really undervalued by whoever is employing these pundits and commentators. I don't feel like there is a great understanding of up-to-date rugby laws by the pundits. Some of them are good. Some of them are pretty good. A lot of them are not. I feel like a lot of them, especially the former players, they maybe haven't updated their knowledge of rugby laws since they played the game. And it takes away from the game, and I think it hurts the game when there is a big decision made in a game and you got the commentary team or the pundits laying into the ref, and actually it turns out the ref was right, but they've suddenly brought all this negative energy and fans are confused about what's going on, especially, like I said, if they're only tuning in to a World Cup once every 4 years. They don't know what's going on with the TMO, the current process and all this stuff. It'd be good for them to have at least a fundamental, basic, up-to-date knowledge of the laws. And as I said, some of them are better than others at this job. Tactics, I think, is more about the pundits than necessarily the play-by-play commentary team. But part of the reason the pundits are there is to add value, to add different layers to what you are seeing. Like, if a team is kicking a lot, which might seem aimless, it would be nice for one of these former players to be able to tell us, what is the purpose? Is it genuinely aimless? Are they trying to push the opposition backfield deeper and then they hit them with a chip kick later once there's that bit of space? Something like that. I want them to be able to give me these insights. Or if it's them sitting in the stands at the stadium, they got a better view of the game than we do watching on our couches at home. When there's how's the back line set up for this upcoming scrum or this line out, this kind of stuff. Give us the tactics. What are you seeing? That's the added layer of value that they can provide as people who've played the game at the top level, which the pundits usually are. Pronunciation, I feel like, is less about the pundits and more about the play-by-play guys. And that's kind of about the knowledge of the players too. You should probably know how to say their names. If you're the play-by-play guy, your job is to describe what's going on and who's doing it. You should probably learn how to say their names. You've got from whenever the teams are announced, like 2 or 3 days before the match until match day, to look at the names, see which ones you don't know how to say, look them up, ask somebody at the office, somebody will know, find a YouTube video of their name, make a little note in a way which you will understand how to say their name. This is not hard. This is the minimum requirement for the play-by-play guy. The amount that don't do it is bonkers. How many ways have you heard someone say the surname Ioane? Ione, and many other ways. I can't even think of them now. But yeah, basic level pronunciation should be kind of a fundamental one for the play-by-play people. What do I like the people to kind of not be like? I don't like them to be too negative. If I'm tuning in to watch rugby, it's not to hear the commentary team and the pundits to moan about how bad the game is. I'm not trying to tell them to kind of polish a turd if it's genuinely a bad game. I don't want them to try and sell me that it's fantastic viewing. But if it's just a regular game of rugby and there's kind of defences getting on top, forcing errors, don't tell me that I'm watching a rubbish game, because again, that's what, if someone only tunes into a game once every year or two, you're going to put people off the product. Sadly, it is a product. So don't be overly negative. You're getting paid to watch rugby. Enjoy yourself. I should be able to feel that you're kind of enjoying yourself watching rugby for a job. It's not bad. And don't be too arrogant. Could be linked to bias about your team, thinking they are the bee's knees. Or it could just be thinking that you know everything as the pundit or commentator. More the pundits, I think. Captain Hindsight comes into that a little bit. Some of the pundits like to talk about it kind of personally from their own lens. Like, well, I would have done this, or I would have done that, or they should have done this, they shouldn't have done that, the coach shouldn't have done this, he should have subbed him, done this, that. Like, there's a way to add that critique, or there's a way to add that opinion without coming across as a know-it-all. Maybe it's just a Kiwi because we don't like tall poppies. We like to cut people down who stick their heads too far up. Maybe this is just me showing a bit of my kind of Kiwi nature. We don't like people who are too arrogant and talk themselves up. So I don't want to hear that in the commentary. So these are the things that I personally want and what I don't enjoy and what I do enjoy about commentary teams. This may be very different for you. Here are some of the people that I like to hear on the call. My favorite, I think, play-by-play commentator, and I should say we may get different commentary teams for the same game. Like if I'm watching the Six Nations, I don't get the ITV or BBC people, I get the international broadcast. If I'm watching All Blacks Springboks, I get the New Zealand team, not the South African team. So I get exposed to different people that you get exposed to as well. But from South Africa, I like Matt Pearce.
On an absolutely perfect, almost midwinter's day. No wind to speak of, no cloud in the sky. It's been a bright afternoon and perfect conditions.
He's a real old school guy now at this point. He's a veteran of play-by-play commentary. He is respectful of the teams he's watching. He's obviously South African, so he's got some bias. Nobody is totally unbiased, but he largely, I think, calls it down the middle. I never watch him and think, man, how much do you want the Springboks to win kind of thing? So I can enjoy that part of it, and he puts a lot of work into the pronunciation. I really appreciate that. You can feel whether it's French names, Afrikaans names, Pacific Island names, he tends to give it a pretty good crack. I feel like this guy does his homework, and I appreciate that about him. From New Zealand, the closest I think would be Tony Johnson. He's kind of similar age to Matt, I would imagine.
They're just going to take them on again, try and open up a few cracks in the Hurricanes' defence.
Similar things, what I just said about Matt, I think you can apply to Tony Johnson. I think he's a classy guy, respectful, calls it as much down the middle as he can. He's got a funny sense of humour every now and again. So, yeah, Tony Johnson, he'd be the equivalent, I think, here of Matt Pearce. Tony doesn't get Makazola Mapimpi confused with other players as well, as has been accused of some of the other guys here in New Zealand. From the Northern Hemisphere, Martin Gillingham, whose tone of voice might not sit that well with everybody, but I enjoy his enthusiasm for the game.
There he is, Nangusa, the little chip ahead. He's the real flyer on the pitch. Nangusa for the line!
Again, I don't feel like he is totally one-sided when I'm watching his broadcasts, and you can feel like he's on the edge of the seat. I like that, because he's happy to be watching rugby or just calling sports as part of his job. And then from Australia, I think this guy definitely rubs some people up the wrong way, but I quite like Sean Maloney.
He clears it away one-handed. Everyone on tired legs. Oh, Suali, what did the intercept?
Sean Maloney is another one who generally feels like he's happy to be watching rugby. I feel like he knows the players pretty well. Sometimes he delves a little bit into the kind of pundit territory where he wants to start talking about decisions and whatnot being wrong. I don't like that aspect of his game. I think he should be leaving that more to the pundits. But yeah, generally his enthusiasm for the game is pretty infectious, but he gets maybe a bit over the top for some people, but I don't mind him. For some of the more pundit kind of colour commentators, as the Americans would say, I like Simon Zebo.
Outside of the boot, into the corner. He was doing left foot, right foot all day. It was no issue to him. He's ambidextrous, that fella.
He's kind of in that Sean Maloney bracket of infectious enthusiasm for the game. I feel like he's probably in the too biased category for maybe Leinster fans, because he wears his heart on his sleeve as a proud Munster man, does Simon Zebo. But I don't know. I can't watch a Simon Zebo broadcast and be brought down. I'm never thinking that guy's negative about the game, and he brings in the insights when he is asked about that kind of tactical stuff as well. Chris Patterson, Scotsman. Maybe I just like his accent.
After this, I actually think somebody comes into counter ruck from Glasgow and then leaves the space. De Klerk spies it, goes clean through.
But he calls it down the middle. He is also respectful. You can feel when Scotland is doing a Scotland. I don't feel like he throws his toys out, like some of the other countries might be more prone to do. I feel like he's kind of a consummate professional. I've spoken to him in the past once for a video thing many, many years ago now, but consummate professional, nice guy, Chris Patterson. Liked his stuff. From New Zealand, James Parsons, I think, does a really good job of the tactical stuff.
He just won't put the ball in. So New Zealand hit and go, 53 minutes, they actually dominate that. Reinach doesn't put the ball in, early push, free kick.
He does podcasting with the Aotearoa Rugby Pod, which is, I think, pretty quality. And sometimes he does colour commentary as well for Sky here in New Zealand. He talks tactics. He seems to have a really good eye for the game. He's a guy who I can watch and walk away go, man, I learned something listening to that guy talk. So that's what I want from the former players. I don't want the vibe check from them necessarily. And Morgan Turinui from Australia, I think, knows the laws better than most of the pundits.
And something consistently available against the Force is space and opportunity in the 15-metre zone.
He did get a little bit over the top during the Lions tour when he felt stuff was going against Australia. But I think generally he's the guy who kind of reins in the other Aussie pundits who can get a bit far out there. So Morgan Turinui, I think, generally is good value for his tactical and law analysis. David Flatman does a bit of play-by-play and colour commentary.
These guys here ultimately are going to try and stop you. So your job becomes to remove these guys. And if not remove them, get your head in the right place to stop them blocking.
He's another one that I feel like he's fairly lighthearted. He's got a pretty good sense of humour. Sense of humour is obviously very objective, so some people will not like that whatsoever, but I think he's pretty funny. And I think he adds, he can talk front row play. Certainly, which a lot of other commentators might not be able to add as much value on. And then Ben Kayser, a Frenchman.
This little flick pass there is a thing of beauty. But to beat the best, that's what we need to do.
He knows, particularly the French players, a lot better than most of the other English-speaking commentators. So he adds a lot of value whenever he's on games, especially the ones which involve French teams. He's able to bring a lot of value there, along with his kind of tactical nous as well. So these are the ones that I like. The ones who I feel like are a bit more divisive, Austin Healy, he gets into the kind of arrogant and Captain Hindsight category for mine, and a bit negative as well. But I will say, I think he has good tactical highlights and observations pretty much every game I watch him. I find him a bit of a tough listen because, as I said, he gets into some categories that I don't like, but at least it's balanced a wee bit with some tactics. And Justin Marshall, he's kind of divisive down here in New Zealand. A lot of people don't like him because they think he's a total Crusaders fanboy and won't say anything bad about the Crusaders. I'm an Aucklander and I don't find him too bad in that regard. And I do like that sometimes he will talk about, they got a scrum in the opposition half and here's how they're lining up. I think they're going to go this way. He'll have a stab at that. He'll have a stab at predicting what he thinks the coaches are going to do. So I don't mind that kind of stuff. For YouTube live streaming commentary, the Kiwi lads, old Hamish, he calls a good game, by the way. Kind of doing play-by-play commentary. If you ever wanted to listen to commentary on YouTube as an alternative to listening to the official broadcasts, that option is there. But yes, commentators, they can make or break a game. You can have it on mute or you can have it on the live comms. Who are the ones you guys like? of the current crop. Who are the ones that you immediately want to put on mute? You guys take care and subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.